everybody. I am so excited to bring to you the next interview in my Be Good to You video series with my amazing and energetic friend, Jarrod Parde. His last name truly is, party time. So, Jarrod, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm just excited for this interview.
It's an absolute honor, Kristen. It's been so great to get to know you and your husband over the last few months. So you are a huge blessing to me, as well as all the people out there watching. You're amazing. So thank you. I'm honored.
Well, awesome. Yeah. July was an awesome month for me because I got to meet you and your wife, Andrea, and that was just such an unexpected thing. So I'm excited. So let's get this going. So share with me your health story and sort of the areas in your life that you weren't being very good to yourself.
So my health story begins actually when I was a kid. I grew up in rural Nebraska, small town, and my grandfather was a farmer. And so, I was always around or doing things outside, helping grandpa and do things. And he had this machine shed where he had all this old equipment that, old horse and buggy, parts from back in the day when they used to use horse and buggy to farm. And so there's all this metal, just implements everywhere. And I saw this axle that had, two steel rims on the end of it. It looked like a barbell. And so I thought it'd be great to see if I could, pick that thing up. And I think I was about 8 at the time. And I just took a stab at it, and I put that thing almost over my head. And I kind of realized, wow, at 8, I don't know how much that thing weighed. It could have weighed maybe 20 pounds, but I doubt it because those steel axles and wheels were heavy back in the day. So I realized at a young age that I think I'm kind of strong for my age. I don't know. So from then on, I just was attracted to physical strength and paying attention to things or looking for things to lift. I know it sounds so ridiculous. I pick up things that, and I put them back down, all these meathead type of mentality stuff. I was a huge fan of The Incredible Hulk when it came out. I mean, I just was mesmerized by muscle. And so that kind of separated me from my other peers. At the time, I was a little smaller than my friends. And so being in competitive sports and being active as a young kid, I needed to separate myself. So I've always been attracted to, working hard and getting stronger, doing push-ups and sit-ups every morning in my room before school, just all that kind of great stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And so were there any times in your life where, even though you were doing all of these things and lifting and putting things down, right, as you said,
yeah, right,
that you weren't being good to yourself, even though you had a physical strength?
Sure. So fast forward, obviously that was kind of my journey into how I began being attracted to health and fitness. But there were times where life comes at you pretty hard. And in my younger years, and maybe even towards college, I wasn't paying attention to those things as much. I was distracted by being social. At that point in my life, like a lot of us, college comes around and there's alcohol involved, and there's, partying and being accepted and hanging out. And so there were times where I was not taking care of myself and letting things slip, looking to things to kind of numb the pain of the stresses of life, and then all of a sudden you're kind of doing the thing in college where you're studying and then you're eating terribly, and then you're stressed out because of all the schoolwork, and then you go try to relieve some stress, and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And those were some of the times. I got into a bad rut there for a few years where I just didn't want to eat. I didn't want to cook anything, and so I hit fast food all the time. And I tell you what, the sugar, salt, and fat in those fast food things, it's addictive. And it becomes a lifestyle for so many people. And I fell into the same rut. It became a lifestyle for me. I would cook breakfast, but then the rest of the day, the rest of my meals was out. And the next thing you know, you put on 20 pounds of this artificial chemical foods, and it's bad for you.
Don't forget about the expense too. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Oh, absolutely. And luckily at the time, I worked in the food industry, believe it or not, restaurant business. So I would eat good food at the restaurant, but then I was still eating poorly, and I was making enough money to justify it at the time. But man, talk about a waste.
Yeah, it's crazy how we can get into that rut and it just becomes a habit, right? Good or bad. It just becomes.
That's right. It was a habit. It made me feel better. I would end up like even using the reward system go, oh my gosh, I can't, I'm going to work so hard this weekend, but on Sunday, I'm going to have a day of watch football and I'm going to order a large pizza and I'm going to eat the whole thing myself. I mean, seriously, that's kind of the mentality. Maybe wash it down with a couple beers, That was me being silly in my 20s and early 30s, believe it or not.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. That is not unusual. I mean, It's not. That reward system that's just how it is. It is.
Right. Even with my own children, I'm trying to stop that, like rewarding things with food, especially candy. If they get a good grade on a test, they get a good grade, or they do a great job in sports or something. Our go-to is to reward people with food, ice cream, or some kind of treat. It's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stop it. It's difficult because society, that's just what we all do. Right. And it's just wrong.
Absolutely. No, I am with you on that for sure. So as of today and recently, so what are some habits, mental and physical well-being habits do you practice on a daily basis?
Yeah. So each morning I wake up and I got to have my coffee, right? So coffee's good. I get up a little bit before my family and I have some quiet time. Sometimes it's I read the Bible. Sometimes I'm reading in different books. I just try to get into my own head here and have some good thoughts rolling while I'm enjoying some quiet time in the early morning. I'm lucky enough to have a great group of friends that are similar to me, that we really love working out. We really love to be physical and exercise. So those guys are my accountability partners when it comes to like daily workouts. And I try to do that 5 days a week. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. So it's been awesome. So the mornings are great. You start your day off really well. Get a lot of water in. My big thing too is drinking lots of water as well as my coffee. Have a good breakfast. It usually involves high protein. So I'm always a scrambled eggs guy. My boys eat really well. We do eggs, and I sometimes cook bacon. Sometimes I have some cereal, but we do a really good breakfast to get the day going. I tell you what, when you start your day off that well and feeling amazing, and you can almost tackle anything the day has to, give to you. You're not hungry. You're well fed. You're well hydrated. Everything's clear. You've got your day kind of planned out. You've done some meditation in the morning and spent some quiet time with yourself. And in kind of in the spiritual world here, whether that's with God or whatever. And that's kind of how I've been doing it. Now, it always wasn't that way. I had to kind of figure these things out on my own and do some research to figure out why am I feeling so bad, or why is my emotional state so poor? I had bad habits that I had to kick, and then I had to develop new habits and replace them. So that's kind of been my morning routine for the last 10 years, and it's helped out tremendously.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot that happens within that first hour of waking up. It really does dictate your day for sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what advice would you give to others who are just struggling? What advice would you give to them to really encourage them to be good to themselves?
Wow. That's a tough question. I think you got to kind of ask yourself, what do you want out of your life? Where do you want to be in 6 months, a year, 10 years? I mean, what do you want your life to look like? And start mapping that out. And if the goal out here in 10 years, isn't matching up with kind of your daily activity here, how's it going to change? There's no reason to go through life, struggling. If you're struggling now, ask yourself the hard questions of like, why am I struggling? What areas are we at, or am I at, that I'm struggling in? And let me just start asking questions. That's all I did. I basically asked Google the questions. I'm not kidding. I would Google, why does my back hurt? Or why can't I sleep? What's going on? And there is so much information out there that you can at least start the process. You don't have to go out and hire a counselor or go see a doctor right away. I mean, those things are recommended, but at least start doing your own research on these things and take control and take responsibility from where you're at. Because, I mean, I'm a big believer in this stuff. We have choices, and if we make bad choices, we get bad outcomes. So we have to make the right choice, at least to set ourselves up in a position to where good things and positive things can happen to us. So it all comes down to the choice you make, and kind of realizing where you're at and assess that situation, and then map out a plan or have a end goal in mind, and then reverse engineer that process and come back and really start working those things on a daily basis. Changing those bad habits in the morning. Maybe you don't eat breakfast. Let's just use this for instance. You don't eat breakfast. Well, maybe start eating breakfast. You wake up and you have a Coke. Don't do that. Wake up and have some water. Just something small, and then that'll kind of evolve into something bigger, and you'll see bigger and bigger changes every day. So that'd be my recommendation, at least to start somewhere.
No, I love it. That's awesome. I mean, that's the thing is people think that they have to, they look at this mountain and they have to take this giant leap so that they can get to the mountain, right? Instead of just one simple thing. Let's work on one simple thing for the next week.
Oh, it's crazy. It is a process, I'll throw it out there. I'm 44 years old. So it took me 44 years to look like this or look like this physically and emotionally. We all go through life and we have these things that happen to us. So it does take some time, and give yourself some time. Be good to yourself and allow yourself to have some time to process your life. Think about your life. This is the one chance we have at this, and none of us are getting any younger. And it's coming up fast, right? And we all have things that we want to do with our children. We have things we want to do with our spouse. We have things we want to do with our friends. We have, career goals. Now is the time to bust it out and get it done, and don't settle for anything less. Just a few months ago, my family, we were going through some tough times. My wife's work environment was not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. She was overworked, overstressed. And that bled into, our marriage, that bled into how we handled our kids, how we disciplined them, or how we interacted. It was an absolute disaster. And so that's actually why I had to refocus on myself and become strong for me, so I could be strong for my wife, so we could start kind of righting the ship. The ship was going in a wrong direction. We had to rewrite the ship, right, and steer it in a better direction towards health. And that involved food, for sure. It involved activities. It involved, stop watching these movies or these, reality shows that just were not positive. They were negative. So they're flooding our minds with all this negativity all the time. So we just had to do a complete 180 and redirect things towards positive, towards health, towards balance. And it's been an amazing journey. I've learned a lot. I continue to learn. Now I have this huge appetite for learning all kinds of stuff. I just learned about grounding. Have you ever heard of grounding, Kristen?
No.
I know I don't want to go off the rails here, but it's crazy. We have this we're basically electrical beings. We have electricity that flow through our bodies. And when we're not grounded to the earth, bad things happen. There's, with technology like computers, cell phones, there's all this EMF stuff going around us, and we're electricity, and it causes inflammation. It causes badness. But if you're grounded, right, just like an electrical current, the electricity can flow through you and not stay in you and inflame you. It can flow through you, right? It's amazing stuff. I highly recommend watching a documentary called Grounding. It's brilliant. And people's inflammation goes away, sleep apnea goes away, back pain, knee pain, any type of inflammation in the body starts to heal itself. So when we're connected to the earth, I'm going to go all holistic and weird on you. But when we're connected to the earth, things start to change. Your body becomes one, and electricity can flow through you, and pain disperses. It's insane.
Well,
that's my newest. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's my newest discovery, and that's kind of where I'm at with all this stuff. It's just, there's so much to learn, so many great things that I don't know about. I live in kind of this bubble, really. We kind of all do. We put ourselves in these bubbles. Get outside your comfort zone, learn something new, talk to somebody you wouldn't normally talk to, or watch a documentary on something that you think is bizarre, but it may speak to you. And I love the whole process.
You're so fun, Jarrod. I love it. I got to go put my feet in the ground somewhere now.
I know. Well, what's so crazy is, so I took this literally, and I actually coach flag football for my sons. I coach without shoes on, out in the grass. And all the parents are like, what is this freak doing out here? He's teaching my kid football, and he's not wearing any shoes. I'm like, hey, man, I'm just trying to be grounded, brother.
I love it. Oh, my gosh,
Oh,
Jarrod.
I know, it's crazy.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jarrod, for taking the time out of your busy day and your schedule to have this interview. I have learned something myself.
Absolutely.
So.
Well,
But
there you go. Yeah, I'm just spreading the knowledge, spreading the love.
no, that's
Thank
so
you.
awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, thank you for, like I said, it's an honor to speak with you. It's been an honor to meet you and your husband, and you've blessed me in ways you don't know. And I think it's just awesome. So I love being a part of your movement. Be good to you is it's just such a great mantra to live by. You know, be good to yourself. Make the choice and just be good to yourself.
There you go. There you go. With that being said, that's how I'm going to end it. So thank you, Jarrod. Have a great day today.
We'll see you. Take care.
Take
Bye.
care.